This is day 3 of our trip, and I know to this point may not be very exciting as far as what you've seen to this point, but remember this is a pretty lengthy vacation. This is about a 3-week vacation, so I can't film a whole lot every single day because this video would be very, very long. So just kind of catch some of the highlights, and I haven't been filming as often as I should be, so I'm going to try to do better with that today and on the rest of this trip. Last night we did stay in a tent. You can see my wife behind me kind of cleaning things up. We'll be taking down the tent here in just a minute and heading on our way. We do have the river behind me. This is the Guadalupe River. One of the top 10 things to do in Texas is to float or raft to tube the Guadalupe River. And we've lived here all our lives and we've never done that. So we did do a little bit of tubing, I guess you would say, down this river behind me for a little bit yesterday. We didn't get any footage of that because we were just on our little floats that you would see on a swimming pool or something like that. But one thing I've determined on the video from this point forward is not to make any predictions about what we're going to do. Because earlier footage, you probably heard me talking about going to Schlitterbahn and then going to Galveston Island and staying overnight there. And I guess that's the one thing I'm having to learn from doing a vacation without having reservations or any idea where we're going, is we should not predict on video what we're going to do because things will change. So we didn't get to stay on Galveston Island Beach because it was booked. And it's the only place in the state park that you can actually stay on the island in a tent. So they were already booked up. We missed our chance of doing that. So instead we decided to come back to New Braunfels, which is where Schlitterbahn is, and to stay on the river and do some tubing. So today we're actually going to go to a company that rents tubes and they'll pick you up. So I didn't film yesterday because we were on our own personal tubes, or actually floats. And the reason why you might want to pick up a tube somewhere else is because you can go miles and miles down this river. And you know, the problem with doing it on your own is you kind of need somebody else to drive a vehicle to pick you up. Well, we don't have a third person that would be unwilling to, you know, not tube too and go with us and just take our Jeep. So we're actually going to rent some tubes, and the company that we're going to rent from will actually pick you up and take you back to your vehicle. So that's what we're going to be doing today. That's really not a prediction. That's where we're heading right when we break camp. Schlitterbahn, we've done it before. You know, it would chew up a pretty good portion of the day, and so we decided against doing that. At least that's the plan right now. We've decided against that. But anyway, from this point forward, you know, it's unknown what we're going to do. I'll just grab a camera, we'll shoot, we'll talk about where we are and what we're doing. I think that might be the best way to approach this video from this point forward, especially since we have so many days left of our vacation. So temperatures were not too bad last night. We actually had a small AC unit that we used in our tent. It did kind of keep the temperatures a little bit lower than normal, so it wasn't too bad. But anyway, we'll be packing up our tent and we will be heading on our way to go tubing. And then the next thing we do, we don't know. You'll find out when we do. Okay, we're here at Jerry's Raft Rentals, and it's just a little ways down from where we actually camped last night. What they're going to do is they're going to drive us upriver here in just a minute, and they're going to release us, and we'll be back down to our car here in about 4 hours. After paying our deposit for the rafts, we had the impression that we would be on our way. But to our surprise, a large crowd began to gather, and it became obvious that we would be joining this large group for our trip up the river. We opted for the extended float trip and were dropped off further up the river from the crowd that joined us in the van. Once on the bank and with little instructions, we were left to ourselves to float back down to Jerry's, approximately 2 miles down from where we boarded the van. Okay, we just wrapped up our trip coming off the Guadalupe River, rafting, or actually tubing. Definitely one of those things on your top 10 list of things to do in Texas. I have to admit, whatever list that was we saw online, it's definitely something I've always wanted to do. And you know what? We did it today, and what an enjoyable way to spend your afternoon. As you can tell, the area behind me is kind of a waterfall area. That's the way to kind of wrap this thing up here at Jerry's. We didn't get that on camera because my camera card's filled up on our raft, so we didn't quite get that. But man, I'm so excited about that. But we are off on our way to now get some German sausage, maybe some German dessert. So we'll see you there. TripAdvisor provided us with a highly rated restaurant by the name of Oma's House. Arriving just a little before 5 o'clock, we are quickly seated and waited on by an outstanding waitress by the name of Morgan. She provided us with some suggestions of her favorite dishes. Following her advice, I chose the Wiener Schnitzel prepared from veal steak, breaded and sautéed German style. Chantell ordered the grilled sausage sampler, which included bratwurst, smoked sausage, and knockwurst grilled with onions and bacon. Oma's House was established in 1977. It began as a small shop offering Texas German sausage, food, and gifts, later growing into a full-service restaurant and gift shop of today. The German word Oma means grandmother, and over the years, many of the cooks have been real Oma's descendants of the original settlers of New Braunfels. Upon completing our entrees, we spent a little time looking at options for travel today and some possible destinations for staying overnight this evening. Morgan returned to share with us the dessert offerings, and Chantell and I both opted to try the Bavarian coconut strudel. After our first bite, we were confident we made the correct decision, as the warm cream combined with the flaky pastry and hint of coconut was a delectable way to complete this great dining experience. Back on the road again, we set our GPS toward Galveston, not knowing exactly where we might decide to pull off the road and stay the evening. To help pass the time on the Jeep, Chantell utilizes some apps she downloaded on her phone. Two apps to this point that have continued to provide us with the most enjoyment are the Roadside America app, which provides us with unique, strange, and fascinating roadside stops, and the Texas History app that permits us to read roadside historical markers without the need of stopping. The history we learn along the way often intrigues us and gives us an awesome look into the often little-known history and facts surrounding the areas we are traveling. For long trips like this one, Chantell will often purchase a new book we haven't read before, and she will read it out loud as we drive. Our selection for this trip is the book titled The Shack, written by William P. Young, based upon a true story of an abduction of a couple's young daughter during a camping trip that evolves into a father's search for answers in the building and strengthening of his faith. Traveling the Texas Hill Country in the evening during this time of year poses an unnecessary risk of hitting a deer crossing the highway. For this reason, as the sun begins to set, we begin the search for tonight's lodging. We stopped tonight at Sealy, Texas, and Sealy is between San Antonio and Houston. And as you can see, man, did I burn my legs today rafting. Why did I say rafting? We really tubing down the Guadalupe River today. So spending about 4 hours in the river with no sunscreen on your legs. But you know, I tended to put sunscreen on everything that was covered with a shirt. Go figure. But my legs really obviously needed it. But anyway, we are stopping here tonight. We are planning on, I told you I wasn't going to make predictions, and here I'm making a prediction. But looks like possibly tomorrow, maybe, we might go to Galveston for a little bit. We definitely want to stop in New Orleans on our trip on the way.
we've only got a couple more days before we got to be in Florida. So that is that definite thing that I'm not predicting because it's on our schedule to be in Florida and Destin. So we will be there in a couple of days, but for now, we're staying here. We got a hotel room and it's not too bad. It's pretty roomy. We got a really big bed and a refrigerator and a microwave and a big old screen TV here. So we're set for tonight. We plan on heading out early in the morning and just seeing where the road takes us. So for right now, man, I've got to doctor these sunburns. We stopped by Walgreens and picked up some stuff for that. And we got some drinks from Sonic. So we're pretty set. It's about 10 o'clock at night. So we're going to get quite a few hours of sleep before we hit the road in the morning. And then we'll be off and going again. So we'll see you tomorrow.